Jeanty thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I were both kind of on the same page where, you know what, offensive line is probably the smarter pick here. But I thought a lot about Ashton Jeanty last night. And I think this is actually the right pick for the Raiders.
Oh.
I've changed my mind. Yeah.
All right.
Because I this hit me while I was writing over at NinersWire.com last night. I was looking at guys available on day 2. And you start scrolling through some of the guys available on day 2, and you go, man, there are so many high-quality prospects left. And the Raiders' bet here is Levi Edwards, who covers the Raiders. He's the Raiders in-house reporter.
Mm-hmm.
Said that Ashton Jeanty just won the That Boy Nice contest. I'm like, yeah, I think that's right. I think that's kind of where the Raiders landed. There wasn't a ton of top-end talent in this draft. Ashton Jeanty was a consensus top 3 or 4 player in the draft, certainly top 5. And the Raiders went, okay, we have a chance to take one of the 5 best players in this draft, and then we'll sort out the other stuff later in a deep draft. In a draft where you go, okay, we love the depth, but the top end talent's not really there, and you have a chance to get a top end talent, you just do it. Just do that thing.
Yeah, and I also think it's a very, very Raiders pick. Like we talked about this
it's
yesterday.
A very Pete Carroll pick too.
Yeah. I mean, but it is. It's one of those picks where you're like, well, they do often go for flash. That's sort of the mantra that's been with that franchise for the last 50-something years.
Mm-hmm.
Like anytime you think that they're going to do something that would be normal and sane and just according to Hoyle,
mm-hmm.
they go off script. And for me, this one, I was fine with it because it's like, hey, at least you have potential to be fun. At least he will be exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Like you hope that you can put an offensive line that will support him.
Mm-hmm.
But they have a lot of other holes that they've got to fill, whether it's like receiver or just like overall depth, like defense. They've got tons of holes. But for one moment, it's like, hey, why not win the draft?
Mm-hmm.
Why not win the first round? Because I think that's what the Raiders did. They got one of the most exciting players in the draft, if not the most exciting player in the draft. And you see how it works out.
Yeah, man. If you're convicted that he is, I saw Mark Souza say, the problem is there's 10 to 12 crazy running back prospects in the draft. Chargers got Omari and Hampton 20 picks later. He said that in the chatty house at youtube.com/ESPN 1320. I disagree. Ashton Jeanty is way better than whoever they're going to get at 37.
Okay.
I believe that he is substantially better than Travion Henderson or Caleb Johnson or whoever, Quinshawn Judkins, pick your next favorite running back. I think he is a clear tier above those players. And maybe it doesn't work out, but when you have a guy, if you are convicted in your room and you go, yo, this is the best running back available, he is the best player on our board without question, we think with the pieces we have and what's available later in the draft, that this is a franchise cornerstone type of player. You have to do it. You just have to do it. I understand the running back value conversation. I fully get it. We talked about it with the Niners. Hey, if Ashton Jeanty falls to 11, do you take him? Like we talked about, we had that value conversation. But for the Raiders, for what Pete Carroll wants to do offensively, and for the rest of the depth in this draft, and in there's not a lot of top-end talent draft, go get a top-end talent, man. And if it doesn't work out, if you're the Saquon Barkley Giants, oh well. But I'd way rather take that swing than overdraft an offensive lineman at 6.
Mm-hmm.
Or not overdraft an offensive lineman, but overdraft anybody at 6, or take a worse player on my board because, you know what? Ashton Jeanty's great, but we think we can get an okay running back later. I just don't. I'm not going to subscribe to that here.
Well, and I would add this, that first of all, you have another 6 rounds to bolster the offensive line and try to get players that will help him.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Secondly, it's not like you're drafting a guy for 1 year. You can build out part of the offensive line this year. You can build out part of the offensive line next year. And hopefully you find a moment where he just is able to explode and be like the player that we all think he can be.
Yep.
But it doesn't have to be all at one time. And you're hoping that they're on the right path of building something. And this gives them a very, very exciting player for people to tune into.
Can I tell you the other thing that jumps out to me with this pick for the Raiders specifically? Their running back room is like nobody right now.
Yeah.
There's nobody in their running back room to be excited about. Do you know how bad their run game was last year?
How bad was it, Kyle?
There were, I'll tell you how bad it was, James. 5 players in the NFL outrushed the Raiders. There were 5 NFL players who had more rushing yards than the Las Vegas Raiders' entire team.
Well, that's crazy.
They needed they needed a player like Ashton Jeanty who's good at running through contact, who has great balance through contact. He has all the vision and explosiveness. And Pete Carroll, we do so much like in-depth draft conversation, and you read these scouting reports and just weaknesses and strengths, and can he do this? And he has this arm length, and he does this workout. Pete Carroll's analysis of the pick was, quote, he was hard to tackle.
End quote.
End quote. There was more than that, but he was hard to tackle. Like, yeah, man. And you needed a running back. You needed to help your running game. And okay, is your offensive line going to be perfect? Is it going to be best offensive line in the league? No. But dude, you have a running back that can help make up for some of those deficiencies.
Okay, so Mason last year for the 49ers. What do you finish with? 900 and something yards, right?
Jordan Mason finished with 789 yards.
Okay, so 789 yards. Alexander Madison had 420 to lead the Raiders in rushing.
400.
Amir Abdullah had 311. Jordan Mason, the 49ers' third running back to start the season, ended up with more rushing yards than the top 2 running backs on the Raiders.
Okay, here's I'll continue that stat. Alexander Madison, 420 yards. The same amount of yards as Isaac Guerrero, the 49ers' 4th running back.
Yeah.
And he had 48 fewer carries.
Oof.
Do you know who outrushed Alexander Madison last year?
I don't know.
Well, first of all, 52 NFL players. Do you know who outrushed it? Drake May. Quarterback for the New England Patriots, had more rushing yards than the Raiders' leading rusher.
There's probably 5 quarterbacks that outrush the
Bo
Raiders.
Nix, 430. Caleb Williams, 489. Anthony Richardson, 499. Josh Allen, 531. That's 6 quarterbacks now?
Wow.
That's 5. Sorry. Here's 6. Kyler Murray. Here's 7. Jalen Hurts. Here's 8. Jaden Daniels. Here's 9. Lamar Jackson. 9 quarterbacks had more rushing yards than the Raiders' leading rusher last year.
That's wild.
We can talk process, and if you're they should have gone offensive line and gone running back later because of value and this and that. Okay. But I fully understand, and I am fully on board with, you know what? There's a top-end talent available in a drafter. There's not a lot of it. We're going to make sure we get that guy in our building. Just draft good dudes.
Yep.
Draft good players and build around them. I like what the Raiders did. I like a little bit less what the 49ers did. We'll talk about that next. We're diving into the NFL draft. We're diving into the NBA playoffs.